Hey everybody, Lane Rogers here. Happy Sunday. So yeah, I got my Tesla FSD version 14 3.2, the second edition of that one. I heard somewhere on the web it was actually a third edition, but it was the second one I've actually gotten on the Cybertruck, and obviously we haven't gotten any of those on the Model X because it's a hardware 3 system. So still waiting on that version 14 Lite that we're supposed to be getting sometime before the end of June. So, fingers crossed. You know how Tesla is, and you know how Elon is with those future announcements. But yeah, I think because of the way they've built the software out with this newest version, a lot of that's going to be used on the hardware 3 system. To be able to get a lot more package, a lot more information packaged into a smaller package, basically, so it can go on that system. And so yeah, I think of course it's going to be a great improvement over what we're running right now. That we're still on 12.6, I think is what it is, 12.6.4 or something, I can't remember, but yeah, we'll be off that FSD 12 and at least up to where we have the same basic features as version 14, where you can start and stop basically from the screen and be able to reverse and things like that are just really convenience factors with FSD. But they did say it's never going to be capable of, hardware 3 is not going to be capable of actually becoming a robo-taxi and unsupervised completely. I guess from a legal standpoint, or from a company standpoint, they can't just classify it as having that ability just because it doesn't have the compute. But there is going to be an upgrade to where you can actually upgrade your hardware 3 system to hardware 4. And so if you purchased hardware 3 with the vehicle, or if you have if you have one that already has it on it that someone purchased, that was transferred over there, or they just bought it that way, you will have supposedly a free upgrade to the new hardware whenever that becomes available, which if they say version 14 Lite's coming out in June, I imagine they're going to be perfecting that for a few months, and then maybe towards the end of the year, early in 27, I'd imagine there might be some ability to start seeing those upgrades. But it's going to be a major undertaking, according to Elon and the Tesla FSD team, just because not only do they have to replace the camera system itself, but also the computer. So it's previously, back a few years ago, they were just upgrading just the computer itself, and it was just the easy swap out. You pull the old computer, you put the new one in, and you reboot it basically and calibrate it, and it was good to go. But with this, they have to redo the camera system and probably a lot of the wiring, I would imagine, and then also the computer, and then get it all to work on a system that used to be specifically for hardware 3. And so it is a considerable amount of work and a big upgrade. And Elon said that they're going to have to build mini factories basically in each market, and I don't know if they'll be doing that sort of at their service centers. I doubt they have the space, but maybe they'll be at the service centers where they build little separate areas to where they do those upgrades. But it's going to be an interesting journey for the hardware 3 vehicles and the owners basically of those vehicles, to get their cars up to speed to where they can eventually become unsupervised. But like I said, the hardware 3 system itself can't become unsupervised, but the car actually can, because it's going to be able to be upgraded at some point. And even if you didn't purchase the hardware, or not the hardware, but the FSD for the hardware 3 system, you can still upgrade your car if you never owned FSD. It's just going to be out of pocket. So I know previously some of the upgrades they've done were in the $2,000 to $2,500, $3,000 range, and so this is a bigger upgrade. So I'd imagine, I seriously doubt we'll see that upgrade any. I don't want to speculate, but I would. If I had to guess, somewhere in the $3,000 to $4,000, maybe even more range to upgrade those cars, just because it is going to be it's going to take some time to do all the work, and it's a considerable amount, a lot more hardware, cameras, computer wiring, all the things, and trained technicians, and yeah, it's going to be probably the kind of thing where you have to drop your car off for a few days, and then you have to worry about a loaner car and all those things. So quite the undertaking, but it can be done, and I am glad that finally that Tesla is going to do something about it, because all those people that bought those vehicles in the past, and they were promised basically by Tesla and Elon and the FSD team that eventually those cars would be capable of unsupervised full self-driving, and for a long time it hasn't come to fruition, and although those systems have gotten considerably better over the years, and they've done many updates, is nowhere near as good as what the hardware for systems are, and what they can do now, and what they going to be able to do in the future, which is obviously the unsupervised robotaxi style operation, and then the ability to actually add your car to the robotaxi fleet, and then be able to make sort of kind of passive income when your vehicle's out there working when you're not using it. And so I think a lot of people are looking forward to that. And the robotaxi fleet is growing. I mean, we're here in San Antonio, but I know up in Austin, I was seeing on some X posts yesterday to where up in Austin just hit 101 robotaxis, and of course most of those are Model Ys. So 101 robotaxis, and I think now we're up to 20 there that are completely unsupervised, meaning there's no safety driver in the car whatsoever. And the remaining, I guess, 81 right now have a safety driver, but they're in the passenger seat. They're not behind the wheel, so they're just there for safety and security. A lot of people are a little iffy about getting in a car with no one in it, so at least there is that option now in Austin at least, and then in the San Francisco Bay Area, where the drivers there actually had to be in the driver's seat. I guess it's California regulations, but here in Texas, they're a little bit more lax on that kind of a thing. So we are lucky that we have the Gigafactory up in Austin, and that's where they're manufacturing the Cybercab, and so that because of that, that's where it all started with robotaxi with the Model Ys, and so we're lucky to have had that start here, because Texas is a little bit more lax, like I said, and have been really generous with Tesla and allowing them to utilize the downtown Austin area and expand further out. So that's pretty exciting. What I'm most excited about is when we actually start seeing a lot more of the actual gold robotaxi cybercabs on the road. So my family and I were driving up to Dallas the other day from San Antonio, and on that route 35, basically, we took the toll road around Austin, and we passed right by the Giga Texas plant, and as we were driving by, I could see a couple of the cybercabs out there, and let me tell you, it's a really cool car to see in person. It kind of hits home, because you realize that car is going to change a lot of things about how transportation is used, and kind of the context of what transportation is in America and around the world. So many people are going to be buying less vehicles, I guess, and just either using a robotaxi of some sort that just comes and picks you up that someone else owns, or there's going to be more of the entrepreneur-minded people who buy a few of the robotaxis and have them in service, just like they owned a little taxi company in the past. So it's going to be very interesting to watch, and it's kind of see how things accelerate with that, because it's expanding rapidly. I saw that so now robotaxi is basically available in 4 markets. It's Austin, where it started, and then it went to San Francisco Bay Area, which is that's their biggest market right now, just because they have so many more vehicles. They have something like 550 there or something like that. So it's expanded a lot, but like I said, there they have to have the safety driver, and it has to be in the driver's seat. So hoping to see at least get that safety driver over to the passenger seats. But then here in Texas, we have Austin, where it all started, and there's 101 there as of right now. Probably today there'll be more. And then we have Houston and Dallas. It just recently launched that last month, and their fleet has grown to, I believe Houston just hit 4, and there's still 3 in Dallas, and so it's expanding there too. And those are actually completely unsupervised units too. So nobody in the car whatsoever other than the passengers. So yeah, it really is fantastic just to see that this technology is finally evolving, and that it's, some of those promises that were, put out there years back, many years back, are starting to come to fruition, and you're starting to see it actually in reality. You're seeing this technology that we've all heard about for years finally actually hit the streets, and it's really a remarkable testament to the amount of work and the amount of guts that Tesla has in their whole culture. The whole culture there, just pushing things beyond what the norms are, beyond what people say can be done, and really, just making big claims, and then eventually, over many iterations, being able to back up those claims. And so it's a phenomenal company. And I've followed Tesla, since their inception basically, and all the way back from the very first Model S hitting the streets back in 2012. And I was a very early investor with Tesla. It's a long story. That's a long story in itself. A very early investor, and then had some things come up, and then had to sell my stock, and then got back in the game later. But I wish I hadn't sold that stock. That's all I could say. But got back in the game, and been here ever since, following it, and purchasing the vehicles. My wife and I, we own a Model X 2022, and then we bought the Cybertruck last year, so it's a 2025. But phenomenal vehicles, and it's so much fun to wake up every day and see all the progress that's happening, and the software updates and everything. So yeah, we're pretty happy Tesla owners, and that's, for us, that's something to be said, because we've owned a lot of vehicles over the years. We've had Lexus, Mercedes, Cadillac, Escalade, several different types of Cadillacs. Let's see, what else did we have? Some exotics as well. We had a Bentley, we had a Ferrari, Maserati, and so by far, Tesla is my favorite vehicle. My favorite vehicle. Obviously, it doesn't stand, it's not a Bentley as far as the luxury features and things like that. But honestly, it's really kind of hard to say what is luxury these days. Because if a car drives itself, and you basically have a chauffeur driving you around all the time, isn't that more luxury than leather seats or something like that? I don't know. But Tesla interiors are great. I mean, they've really come a long way over the years. The Model X is the refresh, so phenomenal interior, beautiful, soft seats, very comfortable, air suspension, and then obviously the Cybertruck has the air suspension and 4-wheel steering, and it just sort of floats through traffic and glides from one lane to the next with that 4-wheel steering, and then the air suspension. Man, it's as good as any Mercedes, or I say it's almost as good as the Bentley's air suspension. So yeah, it's a great car. And then there's the safety, obviously being probably the safest vehicle in the world. And then on top of that, you have it drives itself. It drives itself. So yeah, what more could you ask for? Oh yeah, and it's the stainless steel is bulletproof, and so. Yeah, you don't have to worry about anybody shooting you, I guess, and when you travel around from city to city. So, yeah, that's an added benefit, I guess, right? But who knows? But yeah, like I said, we're happy Tesla customers, and I'm excited to keep getting the software updates, and I'm excited to see all the new products come out, and hopefully we'll be seeing that extended length Model Y come out with a third row seats, a 6-seater, It's got the captain's chairs and everything similar to the Model X. I've watched a few videos on those online, and I tell you, it's a nice contender to eventually replace our Model X, because obviously they discontinued it. I was kind of hoping they would redesign the Model X and I could get a newer one, maybe next year sometime. But yeah, I think with the Model X we'll be looking to replace that maybe next year. Kind of waiting to see what Tesla does. Are they going to come out with the Cybertruck SUV, which would just be pretty badass, to be honest? Or are they going to come out with, actually bring the extended length Model Y to the U.S. market? Because it's already available in several other markets, Australia and China and several other over there. But yeah, anyway, that's it for today. I just wanted to check in and go over a couple things with y'all. Happy Sunday, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Bye, everybody.